Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I'm Kyle, and
And I'm Zach.
this is Disorder
Disorder support.
Support. We'll get better at that. Today we have a very special guest. Her name is Haley Duncan. She's from upstate New York. She's stationed at Fort Campbell in the Army. She's a 92 Golf. She's currently the growth and brand coordinator for Service and Soul. Thanks for being on, Haley. Zach, I heard
Oh,
you
thank you guys for having me.
you grew up with Haley. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. She's my best friend growing up through high school. Probably my only friend, honestly,
I
at that
believe
time.
that.
So,
1,000% I believe that. So, Haley, you want to tell us a little about yourself today? What you do?
Yeah. So, what I currently do like you said, I'm the growth and brand coordinator for Service and Soul. What we do is we offer support. We create healing spaces for the wives of first responders and service members. So even from active to reserve to Gold Star wives, we create a healing space for them to help them find their purpose again, who they are, what they need, to show them that it's okay to be selfish and to say, hey, like I need a break and I want to take longer than a 5-minute shower. So there's so many nonprofit organizations, there's so many for-profit organizations that help heal the veterans, which is amazing. But sometimes we forget about the wives or the husbands that are on the backside of, serving the service members. So we created, something like that to cater to them.
Nice. Very
And I
cool.
just fell into it. I went for my healing for myself, and the owner kind of just came to me and said, I want to grow this. I need you. So I jumped on.
Nice. That's awesome. So, it's definitely a market that's needed, right? I mean, my wife still to this day catches some of my temper from the army that I constantly work on tamping down. But it's tough. It is tough, and it's probably tougher for her when she wasn't in the service and she has no idea what I went through, right? And how does she handle that? Um, when you say healing space, what can you find that a little bit better?
Yeah, so we offer summits. We actually have a summit coming up that's going to be in Tampa on April 16th. So we're really excited for that. So it's going to be out over by the MacDill Station, the Air Force. And it's an all day thing from 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock. You go, you do some hypnosis, you do some, writing down who you are, what has changed, or what, like who you want to be, where do you see yourself, and the time and space that you're at that moment. So it's just like a miniature retreat. If you go for a weekend retreat or you go for a week retreat, this is just a little taste of what that is. But we don't leave them hanging after that. So it's not like, hey, come and feel good for a few hours one day. We have a Facebook group. She has a book. So we want to keep everyone connected and we want to continue healing and we want to offer more resources. So it's just such a big community that's needed, like you said. But now it's just getting out there to let people know, like, hey, we're here, and we're not just somebody that says this is what we do, and we don't offer what we say we do. We're all for it. The team, has a veteran, myself. We have an active service member wife right now. Her husband's retiring out of the military. We have a Gold Star wife who's lost her husband, and then the owner is a current first responder wife. So her husband was active, she was a wife, and then now her husband works in the first responding world, healing veterans to make them humanitarians. So we kind of hit all bases. It's not just one thing. It's, hey, financial, what happens if you lose your spouse and you don't have any connection to the bank account? Like that's a scary thing when you have a family. So we have someone who can do calls and get you set up for financial success if something like that happens.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Honestly, it's a market that's been missed, I think, and I don't mean that so much in a business aspect, but it's a segment of the population that hasn't been catered to and needs to, if that makes sense. So I'm very happy to hear that. That's really cool. So you guys
yeah.
travel? You travel all over the country? I assume you're going to Tampa soon, right?
So not me personally, I won't be going to the summits. We are working on having summits all around the US. So we have a few scheduled. We have Colorado, we're working on New York, so I'll be in New York June and July, so I will be present for that one if that happens. And then in the future, we have contacts in Japan that would love to have us host as well. So our mission is to be a for nonprofit organizations. All of the organizations that cater to the veterans, we want to jump in with that because majority of the time you go and you do like a hike somewhere, so you're bringing your spouse. So we want to cater to the spouse during that weekend while you're healing, because together it brings you guys so much closer, and you're both being healed versus one coming back feeling amazing, the other one's just like still unheard. So we want to
So,
team up to full family heal, and eventually
so
offer things for children as well.
is this more than not is it's for the spouse, right? Mainly you're directed your attention towards helping the spouse heal after the
Yeah,
military service.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I guess I played dual roles. I'm the veteran, but my husband was also, an active soldier.
Yeah.
So I kind of got to feel both sides of things. We got married on a Friday, and I came in Monday and was called into the office and was told to have, the next 10 days, get your shit together, you're getting deployed. So it's like
Yeah.
versus, and then I come home and he got out. So it's like I had to deal with that as a wife of a soldier getting out of the military and figuring out, okay, like who's doing what's the dynamic now, so
Yeah.
it's nice to
So it's
be able to
stressful.
have us. Yeah,
Yeah, stressful.
it's stressful. Yeah, it's stressful.
And you've seen both sides of the coin, which is really unique. Honestly, it is. Nice, very cool. So it's where the objective here is to work in tandem with some of the other organizations, right? That would take the soldier, and you guys would go along, and you'd take the spouse, and then you can create kind of this
Mhm.
healing environment for the two of them at the same time.
Yeah, her goal for the next 5 years is just to have resources all around, so any wife that is having, when you're on post, they're like, oh, we have this and we have that and we have this, but a lot of spouses have no idea. They have no
Yeah.
idea what is actually, offered to them. They don't have any idea that there is financial support for free on post for them. They have no clue. I lost my mom while I was in, and I had no idea that the military was going to cover me coming home to take care of things and coming back. I had to come out of pocket for all that. I didn't know until I got out of the army.
That was a
Yeah,
You had to
substantial
go
amount of
through and
money.
get your stamp. And they're like, you ever use our services? I'm like, what are you guys? And they're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I just lost my mom like 2 months ago. Like, that's like $2,600 I had to fork up because it's at that time, like, flying to New York is expensive, and I had to take my husband with me,
Yeah.
and we didn't have a vehicle, so I had to drive. So it's just like these things are for you, but you have no idea. You have no idea.
yeah,
Like they say, like the community on post is so strong, but it's not. It's not. It's all crap, and you don't know unless you go digging. And I feel like now as a mom, if I was in as a wife or even a veteran with children, who has time to look up those resources? Like, who has time for that? Like, I'm not going to be digging. I'll be in a group, and if someone's like, "Here, check out this event to learn the resources," they're more likely to go.
yeah, for sure. I will say I think that really it matters how good your leadership is when you're active.
100
Um,
100%.
I lost my grandfather while I was deployed, who was we grew up living in his house, right? We didn't have a lot of money growing up, so we lived. So he was like a parental figure, and my leadership, without fail, they threw me in a Humvee, drove me to Kuwait, and then from Kuwait I went to the Kuwait airport and flew me back to Atlanta, back to Campbell, back to Florida. Stayed at the funeral for like 3 weeks. I think I was there because he didn't die right away. He was in a coma first. He didn't pass away
Mhm.
right away, and then flew me back to Campbell, then back out to Kuwait, and then Humveed back to where we were. So it was like, they paid for it all, right? And I had no idea what was happening. I was just handed plane tickets, and they said go be with your family. And honestly, I'm lucky. Like that's not the common scenario, right? I just happened to have such amazing leadership at the time that's how that worked out for me.
Yeah, I think that is it's a leadership thing for sure,
Mm,
where you have good or bad leadership, and it really depends on who are the people in charge distributing information. There is a lot of that, like the information doesn't flow down to us, and
it
sometimes we
doesn't.
pay for it.
Yeah, yeah,
And if the soldier doesn't have good leadership, the spouse suffers. Like if
Yeah.
it was vice versa, and my husband lost a family member and we had to just go, and I got that Red Cross message, it still would have just out of pocket. They had no idea. We didn't even have an active first sergeant or commander at the time. We just got back, and everything was just we were deactivating fourth brigade and getting split up, so it was just such a mess. Um, but like it's as a soldier, you shouldn't find out these things when you're getting out of the military. You shouldn't.
Right.
Like we bought a house and like, oh, you can rent our furniture, or like we can give you stuff for your home. And I was like, I had no idea. We had to buy a house so I could deploy to get out of the barracks. We didn't have the money to just get an apartment right away. So zero down. Like we could move in the next day. We couldn't wait for an apartment to be cleaned and ready, and so we just bought a home. But we had no furniture. We had like that grandma couch that's like checkered in the
Nice.
basement that pulls out to a bed. Like that's
Hell
what
1950s.
we
yeah.
had.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's what we had. Like that. And my poor husband, like that's what he had until I got home,
Hey,
because
those
we
are
didn't have time
comfortable,
to
man.
put accounts together. It was separate. Yeah. But
Hell
it's
yeah.
just it's so many people don't realize, it's like, yes, as veterans we suffer, but it's like the spouses do, and they do it silently.
Yeah.
And like it's hard. It's hard because
Commitment. It's commitment.
yeah, yeah. So she, I met her and I was like on this healing journey, and I'm like, I know this is for wives, and she's like, no, she's like, technically it's for everyone. And I just went in, and she's like, you're really connected. I really want to get to like I want to talk to you. And she got close to me, and I was like, oh, I can get you people to come and join your team. And she's like, I want you. And I'm like, oh, like I just sold my business. I kind of want to like hang out and homeschool for a little bit. I'm going to be at the VA 100 times a day. And she's like, nope, we can work with it. Don't worry. So it's great. If I can, like, you go to the VA and they're like, okay, go down the hall. And it's like an hour appointment turns into 4 hours,
Yeah.
because they're like,
Every time.
It's
you
tough.
scan and then you're waiting. So it's just like she understands that. I'm like, okay, I bring my laptop everywhere. I can get things done. I can call for sponsors. Like, um, but no, she's great. You just connect, when you meet someone, something just connects you, and it's just like empowering to be around empowering women who want to help others that are silent for so long. Like, we suffer quietly, so do the wives, so do the husbands if they have an active wife.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the children, like we want to touch on that as well. The kids have to figure out all these new coping mechanisms of moving all the time. Well, why is mom gone all the time? Why is dad gone? They have no idea. So it's just like the wife is doing or the husband's doing as much as they can, and they only are limited to so many resources
Yeah.
because they really just don't know what's out there. And sometimes you need to be selfish. It's like be selfishly what is it, like selflessly selfish.
Is it? Is it?
It,
Is it really it's selfish though? Honestly, because like everyone's
it's
making a
not.
sacrifice, right? You're all making a sacrifice. The spouse is making one. The husband's making one. The service member's making one, and so are the kids. Like everyone's making a sacrifice. I think these resources should be available, and it shouldn't be so hard to find them. Really, I think everyone's deserving of it.
Yeah.
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 And it's just weeding out the good versus the bad. Unfortunately, I'm learning that for us to be able to do these and to offer our tickets free to the wives, because we're not a nonprofit, we get paid to do these things, but the tickets are free to the wives, and we want to make that free for them. So we look for sponsorships. So we're looking for nonprofits that help veterans. Well, we're finding out who's real versus who's not. And it
Yeah.
just, because it looks real cool to be like, we cater and we serve and we
Mm-hmm.
help our veterans. But it's like, no, you're just some guy who put some money into this, and you're just pulling more money in to make it tax free for yourself. So it's kind of humbling to find the ones that are real and want to do this, because we found a few that just don't pay themselves. They're veterans who drive their own cars to take people to do these things, and it's like, that's who we want. That's what we want. We want raw and real, because we want real healing. We don't want you to just come for a day and feel good. We want you to continue to reach out and talk to us. We have a Facebook group that's private, and we do every other Tuesday. We do video meets, and you're gonna cry and you're gonna laugh and you're gonna get mad. It's okay. We want you to feel these feelings because it's a safe space to feel that. And
Yeah.
it's a safe space to feel guilty as a mom because of this X, Y, and Z. It's safe, so it's great. It's a great thing to be part of. And I never thought getting out of the military, hey, I want to help veterans, until I started doing my own self healing to be like, no, we need help. There's so much
Yeah.
help out there, but we need help to just figure out, because it stems all the way back to childhood. You know, yes, PTSD, we have it while deployment or something happening in the military, but a lot of the feelings and emotions, how we go through and understand our trauma is because of childhood. So it's like we went through a meditation or we went through a hypnosis and she's like, close your eyes and she's like, talk to little Haley and like, holy powerful because Zach knows I grew up in a hard life. Like he knows. And it's just like, wow. I had a scholarship. I put a scholarship away to join the army. I said to Zach at lunch in 11th grade, while like the recruiter is sitting over there, I'm like, let's join the military. And he's like, okay. And we did.
Of course he
We
was.
went. His parents
What
had to
what
sign off.
what?
He was too young, so his parents had to
I
sign
was
off.
I was gonna be in the Air
Remember?
Force originally, you know, and then
They wouldn't take you,
So he
huh?
never, yeah,
well, no,
they
they
didn't
wouldn't
get
take. I
us.
made a
He
clock though. I made a
didn't
clock for
show
the Air
up.
Force.
You what?
Huh?
You did what?
I made a clock. I made an actual like clock for the Air Force. Like I built a clock. It said Air Force. I don't. Actually do. I forgot why I made that clock for the Air Force. I had no idea.
Well,
But yeah, what was that story you said about your mom about the heat thing? What was that? Why? What was the reason you
Oh,
didn't have heat in New York?
so you humbled Mitch that day. So Zach stayed with us because he was having. You're all right if I say this? It's personal.
It's all
Your
good.
feelings.
Everything's
Okay.
personal on
So
this
being in the
podcast.
barracks, I know. Being in the barracks, he was like, I'm depressed. Like, I feel like I'm in a jail cell and we had a home. I had an extra
Yep.
bedroom with a bath. And I'm like, dude, come home. Like he knew. He knew what I meant. I was like, come home. Let us like come hang out. And I was sitting on the couch and I like touched the heat to like 70 or 71. And my husband comes through and he's like, Haley, he's like, stop touching the thermostat. You don't need it that. So I was like, oh, I don't like to like make anyone upset. So okay. So I like went into the kitchen, was getting stuff ready, and Zach, like I could hear Zach, but he was like trying to be quiet. And he looked at like he was talking to Mitch and he said, hey dude, like Haley had to live in a house where her mom would shut her power off to
yeah.
save money, and she would like I'd have to sleep in like winter coats and snow pants. And he was just like, can you just let her, he's like, I'll pay the extra for heat, can you just let her enjoy the fact that she has heat? And like Mitch that night, he like was just so upset and like he wanted to cry, and he's like, Haley. And I was like, well, I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want you to feel bad for me because I had a shitty background. But I'm like, it wasn't always like that. But Zach knows. Zach has come to my
Yeah.
house and he's like, why do you guys always eat spaghetti? And my mom's like, because we're poor. He's like,
You're
why
going
don't you have
green. You're
food?
going.
Why are
You're
you
not eating
eating
heat.
food
You're
out of
going
out
green.
of the coolers? Remember, she was like, do you want a sandwich out of the cooler? He's like, why do you have a cooler? She's like, because the power's off in the middle of winter. Like New York is cold. It's like the
Yeah.
negative 20 degrees.
Yeah.
And we
I
did
think you had
it. Like
you had one of those box TVs too in your living room. It was like a little small
he
box TV.
did.
I
Yeah.
feel
He
like
did.
I feel like
News Channel 13 was where it's at.
I had a very similar childhood, and I know Zach's wasn't great either. I feel like the more people I meet in the military, or that were in the military, right? I feel like a lot of us have very similar childhoods and backgrounds.
So I like powwowed with my friend who just retired out of the military as an 11 Bravo. He has a Ranger tab. He did all the things, and him and I are just talking, and he said, or I was saying to him, I'm like realizing a pattern. I was like, if you look at the jobs people go into and why they go into the military, it's usually to like escape jail. You got someone pregnant, you're trying to run away from an abusive situation, or or if you're young, you're trying to get out of like as far away from home as possible. So it's just like the military is that scapegoat. And I hate to say this, but a lot of the people that end up like the 11 Bravos, they're already stigmatized because they've been abused, they've been assaulted, like they are okay with just being like neglected emotionally. And they're like, here's a weapon, go kill people. And they're like,
Yep.
okay, because they don't know any better. And it's just like, wow, the military like really I hate to say it like this, but like really set that up perfectly to cater to like schools. I bet you, Zach, if you and I went to Shaker,
Yeah.
there's no recruiters in Shaker. It's got
No.
money. It's got money. They have money. Like we were a low income school, so they
It's
hustled.
targeted.
They
Yeah, it's
hustled us.
targeted for sure.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's
And then
definitely.
the ones who are like go in as officers, they have like three generation of military officers, and they it's not the same. It's
No,
not
it's
the
not.
same as
It's not.
coming in as an enlisted, as like a, Zach and I both had great scores on our ASVAB, but we just took what we could. I took the 92 golf job because Zach was leaving in like the next month, and I'm like, what are the chances of us being stationed together? He's like, oh, if you get a 92 golf, I can get you in right now, and you can leave right before like 2 weeks after
Yeah,
Zach.
I'm ready to leave. I'll take whatever you guys got. Like, come
You,
on. Oh,
you might get to go. So I got suckered into that. That was a
yeah.
huge lie. I was very
I never got the
upset.
bonus either. I never got my bonus.
No
Crazy.
bonus. No.
Yeah.
$4,000.
I was supposed to go
I
to
didn't
air
get a
assault
bonus.
school right after AIT, and I went to 4th Brigade. So a lot
Well,
of
at least
things
you were
are
at
lies.
Campbell where Air Assault School was, right?
We did. So we both Fort Jackson, Fort Lee. That's just because of jobs, though. But
Yeah.
yeah, and then we got to Fort Jackson, and he was in 20th replacement, and I come strolling in. I was like, yes.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I
Nice.
was
That's
so
crazy.
excited. I said, I'm going to 5th group. I'll see you, dude. And right before I texted him, I was so just distraught because I'm like, I'm in this new world, and like like I was gonna be with my best friend. Like I know him.
Yeah.
Like we could do life together, and I was just like, it completely changed it. I'm like, I'm going into this whole different world, and it was scary. So I wasn't happy. I was. I wasn't. It was just a shit show. To
Yeah.
be completely honest. But we stayed in contact, and until both deployed. Like I deployed, and then you deployed,
The Army had
and then I
different
came
plans
back
for
and
you.
was hurt. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Things just changed.
when I joined, I went to the Marines off. I wanted to be a Marine so fucking bad. Didn't know why. I don't have any family in the military at all. I mean, my grandfather was in the Navy like way long before I was born. Did his required 4 years back then, and then got out. Right, and that was it. He wasn't like a Navy guy. He didn't have the sailor tattoo. You know what I mean? All that stuff. So, didn't really come from a military family at all. Didn't know anything about the military. But I knew I'd heard of recon in the Marines, which was like is like their special forces or whatever. So I went into the Marine office and I was like, dude, I want to be a recon Marine. And the guy's like, and I was already 21. I went to college before I joined the military for 2 years. I didn't have enough to be an officer, but so I was a little older than those people when I went in. And the guy's like, all right, so we go through all the paperwork and everything. Takes me down to MEPS. Background check comes back, and I've got felonies on my. I mean, I've got a arrest record as long as my arm. So he's like, well, we can't take you because of this, right? And when I joined, the military was not actively recruiting. I mean, it was full.
Mm-hmm.
And so he walks me out the door to the office next door, opens the door to the Army office, points inside and says, they'll take you. So I walked inside and the guy goes, well, what do you want to do? And I didn't know anything about the Army at all. I mean, I didn't know anything about any branch, right? I just knew there was recon Marines. That's all I knew. So the guy goes, well, what do you want to do in the military? And I said, well, I just know you guys can jump out of planes. I want to jump out of planes. And he goes, well, I've got this contract. It's an airborne contract. And I said, okay, cool. And I took it. And that's how I ended up with my job. Because I didn't know that you had different jobs alongside being airborne. You know what I mean? I thought you were airborne. You jumped into battle with a gun, and that's all you did, right? So that humbled me pretty quickly. And then I ended up being a supply guy. Woo, here's a pen and paper in case you need it. I got plenty of them.
Mine.
That's who you want though as friends, the supply guy and the cooks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're the people that you want to know. You want to be nice to us.
Yeah, I had the coolest weapon. I had all the best gear.
Yep.
I was set, and then my supply guy had all the great snacks.
Yeah, right.
And I did all the mail during deployments, so I'd get all like the care packages before, and I had to go through them, and then I could like divvy them out. So they'd be like,
Wait,
"Hey,
we
let's
had
have snacks."
we had the same recruiter, didn't we?
Yeah, Sergeant or
Hinkle.
Hickle.
Hinkle, yeah. He's like 6'5",
Yeah,
tall
we
guy.
did PT together. Zach
Yeah.
couldn't run for anything.
That
Him and I would
exercise
get up
together.
at 4 o'clock in the morning. We would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning
I
to go
was
to the gym
bigger.
if he would wake up. But we
was
would
like
go,
5'5".
and then I was like, dude, you got to hustle on your run. Like, you're strong. You do push-ups. We can do wall
Yeah.
push-ups. But I was like, you need to run.
I
And he's
did
like,
not pass the 2 mile. He said, well, don't worry about it. When you get in basic, you're fine. He's like, just
Yeah.
pass it there. Oh, okay. Yeah, it was a
But
struggle.
we tried working on it. But we trained, like, all senior year. I would come and pick him up,
Yeah.
and I would bang on the door, and his dad's like, he's sleeping. And I have to go into the basement and get Zach awake.
You scared me one time.
Nothing's any different now, Haley. Nothing's any different now. Nothing was different in the military. I will say, even in the Army, nothing was different. This dude had to be woken up.
Yeah. I can't
Oh,
be
I
trained.
know. He called me. No.
But no, seriously though, it's so funny because like what Kyle was saying, what you were saying too, like I got my orders literally like when I was at MEPS. Like Sergeant Hinkle was like, I guess he messed up my paperwork, and then this Ranger like E7 was like, hey, he's like, you messed up this guy's paperwork. He's like, get down. He like, actually smoked him right there. I was shocked. And he said, hey kid, he's like, I'm gonna throw something in for you. I'm like, okay. He's like, I was like, what's that? He's like, airborne. He's like, oh, like, okay, all right, I'll do that. Sounds cool. Jump out of planes. I was like, what do I have to do for it? He's like, you have one test to make sure you can see colors. I was like, okay, I think I can pass. I have 20/20 vision. And yeah, that's how I got my job. Like I was supposed to be an alpha like Kyle, but I became a Yankee because that's what they had and it had airborne in it. I was like, great, cool. So I took it.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's just that's not who we started with. I can't remember the guy though. He
No,
was like
oh yeah, he was a
he
sergeant
was a
major.
cook.
Right? Yeah, he was a
Yeah.
sergeant major
Your
when we started.
recruiter was a sergeant major. That's wild.
Yeah, yeah, it
Yeah.
was crazy.
Well, he was like he was getting out, so we only had him for like half a second. But he got me. I got all my paperwork and stuff done before Zach. But Zach, oh, you got. So I went and took the test, and something happened, power lost or whatever. So then remember I had to get rescheduled. So I had to go
Yeah.
back and retake the test at MEPS. They're like, "Oh, power's out," and the guy's like, "We're gonna have to come back." And then I got transferred to Sergeant Hinkle or whatever.
So
But
you're talking about the
so my
ASVAB test?
yeah, we lost like the building lost power in the
So
middle of the test, and are just like waiting for it to reboot, hoping everything could go back, and it didn't. It was just like back to the beginning, and they're like, "Yeah, we're not doing this today." He's
so
like, "Do you want to do this?" I was like, "No, I'm not hanging out for another freaking 3 hours.
no, that would be
Not
miserable.
with you."
In South,
Albany.
it was so funny. In South Florida, the ASVAB test is done out of a government facility, not at MEPS, and at least where I grew up. And when I went to go take it, I thought it was very ironic. It's right across the street from the jail that I had been in so many times, with the building that I had to go in to take it. I thought it was so funny.
That's like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
good success story, though. Like
Is
jump
it?
building to building.
Yeah, I guess right.
It's
I
true.
was in that
Well, that's
one.
what, right?
Now I'm in this one, and I get to
Didn't they say
leave
that
when
the
I want.
the military takes criminals?
They do.
Point
There's
proven.
yeah. Oh, hey, thanks.
We're literally the statistic. Hard
We
life
are.
criminal.
We are.
It's crazy though.
Hopefully,
but
my
it's
employer never watches this. It was all before I was 18, guys. Come on.
I wasn't good enough to go to college, okay?
I mean, I went to no scholarships. I went to community college because I was dating a girl at the time whose both of her parents were doctors, and they were like, "No, Kyle, you're going to college if you want to keep dating our daughter."
Mm-hmm.
Right, and so I was like, "All right." So I went to community college. Yeah. All right. Popping in my Invisalign. Okay, cool. So I want to kind of bring you back to so away from the spouse side and into your veteran mind, right? So when you got out of the military, how was your transition to civilian life? Like all the good things, all the bad things.
I'm probably one of the only few who actually like took that like transition BS classes that they make you do like seriously. Like I hustled and I worked. No, ma'am, Rory. Playing little ball. I worked one-on-one with some people to build my resume because Zach and I joined as teenagers, so we didn't really have a resume. I walked into Panera at like just before I turned 16 and was like, I want a job. And they're like, okay. So I never had that interaction. I did some like coaching to like how to do an interview, how to talk to people. Um, so I took that serious. And then so I got out medically. So I was able to do about 6 months of like outside training. I worked with the Corps of Engineers for 6 months. So instead of sitting in an office all day being useless, and I didn't have access to my my login or anything anymore, I would go to the Corps of Engineers. Van would take me off post to that, and I would do that all day, and just get back into learning like normal civilian skills. And that really helped me out. That was a program not a lot of people knew about it, and I got a new first sergeant. He had no idea about it, so when he got in and he like came face to face with me for a meeting one day, and he's like, "Who the hell are you?" I'm like, Specialist Dunkin? Like, who are you? And he's like, where do you go all day? And I was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's this program they do for veterans to, like, get you acclimated back into the world. And he's like, you ain't doing that shit anymore. And I was, like, so distraught because I was like, what am I going to sit here?
Yeah.
Like, he's like, yeah, go run to the paperwork to, like, S4. And I was like, yeah, no. I have blown out meniscus. They don't want me walking.
Bad
so I was
leadership.
like, no, we're not doing that. So he did. He pulled me. I was really upset. Luckily, I got right out like 2 weeks later. But my E5, in the morning, we had like it was my last morning formation before I went and got that last stamp, and they took my card. And she's like, you'll be there for CQ today, correct? Or tomorrow. And I looked at her and I was like, I'm literally like, I'm done today. Like, what? She's like, no, you better be there. And I was like, I don't think you understand me. I don't know if you're like naive,
right,
or just like trying to be cool. But no, you're gonna look real stupid if you don't have a soldier show up. I'm literally handing in my cat card today. Like, I will not be able to get back on post. My shit's done. Like, I'm getting that final stamp and I'm deuces. She was just like, yeah, we'll see about that. And I did. Never saw her again. And I'm just like, I had the most corrupt unit. Like, shout out to First Sergeant McInerney, because my man kept me, 1, alive during deployment. 2, he kept me from being abused during deployment because he came in mid-deployment. And then when we got back, he just had my back. He had my back as not just like a female, but like seeing someone who's being like verbally abused, because I shot down my NCO's attempt into my pants. And like, and I went to my commander and I said to her, I was like, hey, like, this is what's going on. Like, he hasn't tried anything, but he's definitely like treating me very differently. Like, he would just leave me in the office. And I was that soldier. I'm like, I'm not getting up unless you tell me to. Like, I wouldn't move. I was very obedient. And he would leave me in, and like my first sergeant's coming in flicking lights, and he's like, Jesus. He's like, what are you still doing here? I was like, I haven't been relieved. He's like, they've been gone since 3. What are you? And I was like, his office was right there. I didn't get, like, he didn't come and relieve me. So it's just like, he would make me come and sit and watch PT. I'm like, I'm med boarding. What are you doing? He's like, yeah, you're going to come and sit and watch us. I'm like, it's 4 o'clock in the, are you serious? Like, what? Just the dumbest stuff for no reason. He would send me to the motor pool and be like, you're needed there at, again, like 4 in the morning, and nobody's here. And I would sit, because I'm like, if I leave, I'm like, I'm in trouble. I'm not doing that. So I'd sit until formation gets ready, and I would like show up to formation. He's like, where have you been? And I'm like, not watching you do PT. You sent me to the motor pool. Like, here's your text message. So I went to her, and she was fraternizing with someone in our unit as a married woman and got caught getting pregnant. And I was like, you're not helping me, because all she had to say is, he's making you a better soldier. And I said, I have the best PT score in the battalion. I have the best shot record in my whole entire unit. I was like, you can't make, not to like toot my own horn, but I'm getting looked at to get sent to Ranger School as a female. Can't make me any better. Like, not to be cocky, but I'm like, you're not making me any better of a soldier. Like, he's doing it because I told him no. Like, simple as that.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
McInerney stood up for me, and I think they like either moved him or forced him to retire early because they thought he was fraternizing with me. Because he would just tell my NCO to go F himself. He's like, no, you don't treat people like that. Like,
So wrong.
and I went into this world looking for family. I'm like, wow, I'm gonna have brothers and sisters, and we're gonna be a family. No. That's not at all how it happened. And this man who treated me like that during deployment, I did his like the online, what are the classes called that like you can get college credits for?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh shit. Well, I did them for him. I logged in as him, and I did his college courses for him so he could get his E6. I did that. I'm the reason why he got his E6. As soon as he got his E6, it all changed. The rank went to his head, and we'd be sitting and having a normal conversation, and our first sergeant would walk in and be like, get the fuck down! And I'm like, are you serious? Are you gonna put me too fatty? I'd have to forge his PT test because he couldn't make it. It was just ridiculous. So it was such a hostile environment. And because I'm a female, I was like, I'm not saying anything, because they're just going to be like, boo-hoo, you're a girl and you got your feelings hurt, where I'd bust anybody's teeth out. So I kept my mouth shut. This is the first, other than my husband and Zach, that I've like talked about it, because I didn't want to hear that. I didn't want people being like, she's a girl, she's going to cry. Like, no, he's pissed. I have all the proof of him trying for his advances of me shutting him down. And he changed. You could see it. So I was just like, nah.
Well, I'm glad you're talking about it, and that's got to be tough, right? So thank you for that. That's got to be really, really tough.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be like sexual assault for women. I
There,
get it, because men could get sexually abused or manipulated as well. And I came in walking in with my unit as a female in a male dominated role, because even though I was support, I was attached to an infantry unit. It was me and one other girl who was in like um she was supply, but for like headquarters. So that was it. There's no other females. We had someone in the office, but she ended up, it was just it. So I was like, don't talk to me. I'm not going to say anything nice to you. I'm going to talk to you directly. I'm going to talk to you when other people are around, because I don't want you to be like, she gave me the wrong idea. No, Zach knows. When I married my husband, I deployed, so I didn't even know my company until I got to deployment. I was with all the other people about to like get out or retire or whatever. So when I deployed, they were like, when they came back, they're like, "Oh, you married Hines," is my maiden name. And he's like, "Yeah, why?" They're like, "She's a bitch." And he's like, she doesn't want you to have the wrong idea because she's a female.
yeah.
Can't tell now. I was a good looking female back then, and I didn't want someone to get the wrong idea because I was being nice to them. So I wasn't nice. What do you want? Can I help you? And that's how I talk to anybody in any rank. With respect, but I was just like very standoffish. I had a butter bar was trying to talk to me, and I was like, no, thank you. Nope. I heard a dirty rumor that you married Duncan. I sure did. I married. Go away. He's twice the size of you. Keep it up.
That's
It's just, I think that's why I got married so fast too. I hate to say that, but I did. I married the biggest guy in the company to just be like, don't talk to me or look at me or think of me. And I would talk to other, was it E4 at the time, and we're in the supply change because I was helping out my supply NCO, and talking to this guy, and he gets up mid sentence and walks away, and I was like, what the fuck? Nope.
Yeah,
Here comes
I
my
think
husband walking around behind
there's
me,
a
and I
lot
was
of
like, oh, I scared him
there's
away.
definitely a lot of infidelity. Like I realized, definitely a lot of infidelity in the military for sure.
Yeah, people that like when I was deployed, I'm like, I got to know these people's wives and like their kids because like before I deployed. So then they would come up and like talk to me, and I'm like, I know your family. I know your family. Like, why? No, it's a different area code. I'm like, that's disgusting. I'm like, didn't y'all just watch like
Horrible.
in the 23rd basement all the STDs there are?
yeah.
I was like, no, don't touch me. Hey, don't touch me there. It's my no-no square.
Well, it's just
A
first of all,
lot.
that's terrible leadership, right? Going all the
I
way
had
back to the
terrible
beginning of
leadership.
your story with that first sergeant that pulled you out of the program, right? That was helping you become a civilian and basically transition out with the skill, right? That's ridiculous. Your E5,
And he
fuck
denied my
her.
rank too. Yeah.
Yeah, that E5, fuck her.
Yeah.
Uh, and
I went and I did all of the things I needed to get my E5, and he's like, "You're med boarding. You don't deserve that." And I was like,
That's
"Oh,
crazy.
cool."
yeah,
So I never got to get my E5.
yeah, fuck him, fuck him. And if I knew his name, I'd call him out personally on this podcast, and I'd blast it on the internet. Fuck him,
Oof,
right?
I wish I remember.
And
I
fuck
only knew
her.
him for 2 weeks. He literally just showed up, and I was like, "Fuck are
I,
you?"
it's and staying on the toxic leadership for a second. We had an NCO, and I'll call him. He's fucking Sergeant Fagan, biggest dickhead I ever met in my life. I mean, he was just a rampant asshole. And we had one of our buddies, Bolt was his last name. He was a specialist. Came over to us from Germany, and he got fucked up on drugs in Germany. He came back to the States. He was in a program while being in group with us for the drugs, right? And I don't know what the fucking program did, but clearly nothing because it got bad again. He started doing harder drugs again while he was on duty and stuff like that. And he ended up getting sent to a rehab facility in Nashville, paid for by the government, right? As it should be. It was part of the government's problem that he got addicted in the first place. And when he left to the rehab facility in Nashville, which was like a live-in facility, so we didn't see him for like 90 days. Fagan was walking around the motor pool, just basically like talking shit about him and telling everybody about his own business. And the only reason I knew he was there was because him and I were really close, like we were really good friends. So it's the only reason I knew. Is nobody else knew he was there, but Fagan's spouting off at the man. He's an E5, I'm an E3, and he's spouting off at the mouth about Bolt and what he's going through personally. And so I called him out. I yelled at him in front of everybody. And he stuck his hand in my face, his finger in my face. And he's like, you don't fucking talk to me like I'm an E5. And I hit his hand so hard that it slammed up against these metal cabinets and like made a really loud dong. Everybody just dropped what they were doing and looked over. And it was this huge fucking deal. And I got pulled aside by my E7, Sergeant Smith, who was fucking rock star, by the way. Sergeant Smith was amazing. But he pulled me aside and he's like, you're right. He shouldn't be doing that shit. I'll talk to him. He's like, but you can never talk to an E5 like that. And I was like, Sergeant Smith, let him do something, because I'll go straight to the command of the Army if I have to. It's fucking inappropriate, and I'm not putting up with it. And it's just, there's a lot, and now Fagan's, I think, in Alabama, and he, like, I don't know, works for the service department of a Ford Motor Company dealership or whatever. But there's a lot of really bad fucking leadership out there, a lot. But nothing, I will say, tops the second story you told, right? When you went to your commander, that the female, right?
Who's a female?
Who's a female. She should have fucking put her foot down right then and there and ended all of that shit. I mean, that is just so disgusting. And the fact that she didn't, and the fact that no one else in your chain of command anywhere recognized what was happening or had the balls to say anything about it or do anything about it really pisses me off. And that's why we have so many problems.
Well, my first sergeant did, but then they claimed we were fraternizing.
And that's
the only one who stuck up for me, and they removed him. And I'm like, now I have no allies.
Yeah, and that's the bullshit that goes on in our military. That's a fucking problem, because not only now do we create a toxic work environment for you, right? But now other servicemen and women inside your unit think they can get away with shit like that because, hey, look, so and so did it. They're a high rank and they're fine. Not to mention this guy got promoted to E6 on top of it, right, to staff sergeant. And then you've got when you get out, right? I mean, thankfully you are who you are and you're able to go to therapy and deal with whatever you have to deal with. But most people can't, right? And that is another trauma to add to the layer of fucking trauma that you've dealt with in your life. Not to mention what the military has given you for trauma. But now you have another fucking layer of someone in power being abusive in a sexual manner, whether they actually assaulted you or not. Like, that's abuse in a sexual manner. And that's such bullshit, the fact that gets to go on and go unseen or swept under the rug. It's such fucking bullshit. It makes me so angry. It really does.
I don't know about you guys. They always pick the worst guys for the sharps representatives. They always pick the worst.
Oh, they pick the person that's going to run through the PowerPoint as fast as possible and get everyone out of the room. Yeah. It's fucking ridiculous.
It sucked. It sucked to be in that position and to feel helpless. I thought these people were my family and they were going to stick up for me, and it didn't work out like that. And I ended up getting scheduled to be on like staff duty with him. And as soon as I saw my name on the schedule with him, I texted the guy on C, and he was like, his E6 was like, yeah, I'm cool with that as long as he's cool with it. And so we're sitting and we're waiting because he wasn't getting back to me. And he shows up and he's like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, I can't sit in a room with you. Like, for when people are like, oh, I have anxiety, I've never felt this rage, or I don't know what was inside of me, but I wanted to cry and smash his face in. And Zach knows, like, I'm not an angry person at all, but the feeling I could have just thrown up everywhere. And I was like, I can't be around you. And he's like, whoa. Like, that's when it hit real. That's when it was real for him. And I was like, I don't think you understand. Like, what you cause the inside of me. Like, I drive to post shaking, knowing I have to see your face, because I'm doing everything in my possible power to be the best person and soldier I am. And you make my life so hard for no fucking reason. I did everything I did. I'd be like, okay, Sergeant, all the papers on, everything's on your desk, it's signed. And he would come in and just scream at me for no reason. And again, I can take it, but it got to the point where it's just personal. And he was doing it in front of my fucking soldiers.
You should have
like, listen, like, you can't talk to me like that, Zach. I shook, and I was like, nope, I can't be around you. So we ended up switching, and my first sergeant ended up pushing to get him removed out of the unit because they thought it was like sexual assault, but no one talked to me. No one tried to figure it out. They were just like, before she gets crazy and do something, like we're just gonna remove him, and stuck him in the
Right. There's two options, right? There's
aerosol. He was like an aerosol like guy who read the presentation. I was like, are you kidding? Like, no one's gonna talk to me to see how I'm feeling, like, at all. I was so upset. I got, when I just looked at him, I just said to him, I was like, I can't be around you. I don't think you understand that. Like, I can't be around you. I'm gonna lose my entire mind, and I'm going to hurt you. And he's just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I was like, I don't know what you brought me to. I was at my boiling point. I kept my mouth shut. And I was just like, yes, Sergeant, doing my push-ups, smashing my face into the ground because you told me to get lower. It's just like, in front of people who were supposed to respect me and my authority, when they know damn well everything that he was screaming at me for it's on his desk. It's all done. He just wanted to come and make a show of it. He made a mistake because my husband still had he got out, but he still had his card for a little bit, or because he was spouse. He came in for lunch, and we had a desk. We had a bookshelf, so when you came in, you couldn't see down. So my husband's sitting there for lunch, and he came in mouthing off, "It's my lunch. I'm on lunch. Leave me alone." Screaming. My husband stood up. He goes, "What do you have to say?" Mind you, my husband and this guy used to be good friends. And he's like, don't talk to my wife like that. But it didn't stop it. It just continued.
Yeah.
It continued. I blew out my meniscus, and he had us on a run. And I was like, listen, something's really wrong. And like, I was like something's wrong. Like, I can't run. I was always the top person running. And mind you, my E6 was this big, fat, dumpy dude. He's like, we're not going to stop until Duncan gets up here. And I'm in so much pain. I'm like, all the blood's rushing out of me. I'm like, I'm going to throw up. Something's wrong. Well, he made me hustle to get to the front. I did. I got back to the car, and I was like, going to sick call. Something's wrong. Oh, meniscus. I'm like, oh, thank you so much for being such a caring person, because you just want to degrade me in front of my troops. I'm like, these are my troops too. Like, I take care of them. I respect them. You need to respect me because I'm the next chain of command. Oh, it's just terrible. And it's messed up because, like you said, I was able to come out and be okay with it. But my first few months out of the military, driving anywhere near Fort Campbell caused so much just
anxiety.
rage and anxiety inside of me. I'm like, why am I crying driving past this fucking post? Because I know he's there, and I know the people who should have protected me could care less.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's sad because it breaks people. People kill themselves for stuff like that.
your idea, like before coming in the military, right? Your idea of the military before coming in it was totally different, right? Until you got to your unit, and that's when things completely change.
Completely changed.
Yeah.
I thought it was. I thought we were. That's why I would have never done any of these things to help him get his E6. I wouldn't have signed off and said that he passed his PT test if I knew he was going to treat me like that so he could go to the board. I would have never done these things. But I thought, you scratch my back, I scratch yours.
Well, and that's also part of the whole mental abuse, right? It's part of the whole mental abuse. You know, you these people that the army puts in power, right? And I maybe I'm mischaracterizing Fagin, but I go back to him all the time whenever I think of terrible
No, you're
leadership.
not. It's spot
I mean,
on.
just a dude that, like you said, super heavy set, did not deserve to have Z5 at any point in time, just because of the shitty character he had. Right? There's no reason he should ever be leading a soldier in any way, shape, or form. He would smudge his PT test, right, and he would manipulate folks younger than him, pretty much. Well, younger than him in rank, right? Anyone in the motor pool, he was a mechanic, so he had mechanics underneath him. And a bunch of them, and anytime he needed something done to make himself look better, he would manipulate the younger folks that were supposed to he was supposed to be protecting, right, to do his bidding for him constantly. But if they stepped out of line, he'd make a show of it, and he'd punish them in front of everybody else, and he would never scratch their back. But he'd always be like, "Hey man, wait." When he needed something, I could just see it. I could see him doing it. Like, hey man, come on, buddy. Hey, you know you can help me out. Come on. I'm your sergeant. Like, I'm gonna get you back. I swear I'm gonna get you back. Come on, you can go do this for me, right? And I mean, he would get out of CQ duty, right? I mean, he would do it for anything at all. You know, and it's just it's that really fucking bad leadership. Like, I don't.
Abusive.
I'll tell you now. I work in the corporate world, right? And I've done a pretty good fucking job at climbing the ladder. And I know what good leadership looks like, and I know what bad leadership looks like. And people want to. There's this big push right now in the corporate world to make the corporate world more like the military, structure wise, leadership wise. Like we do all the same fair trainings. We actually go to West Point to train our leaders on how to be more efficient and stuff like that. But if I could just be honest with a lot of my senior leaders, in my job, I'd be like, guys, you don't want to be a leader like the military has leaders. You don't want it. It's really fucking bad. It's really bad. But so I'm not to get away from this topic. I honestly I feel for everything you went through. I obviously can't understand what you went through, but I feel for it. And it's fucking terrible. And I wish there was a reporting system.
We all go through it, just different degrees, unfortunately.
There's not enough mental awareness in the military, right? There's not enough just mental health.
Well,
Like
I
they
mean,
don't really
that's aside from the mental health aspect, right? Yes, she should have gotten help. Like they should have come and talked to you, said, "How are you feeling? Let's go sit down with somebody and see how this affected you," right?
I
Because
think
that's
it's
going
I
to
think it's
prevent people from shooting up their own units, which happens all the time. That's going to prevent people from committing suicide, which happens far more often, right? That just sitting down, understanding what's going on with you, right, and how checking in with you and how you're feeling and how this affected you is going to help you become a better soldier. Not oh, get on your fucking face because you didn't finish paperwork in time when you did, right? That's not helping you become a better soldier. It's not. There's nothing about that is, and that's where the total bullshit comes.
no,
You don't smack a
yeah.
dog when they get the command right. You
Well,
don't
that was
punish the
that
animal
was
when
the
they get
thing.
the right command. Yeah,
I had a drill sergeant, and he never like yelled at anybody, but everyone did what they had to do. He didn't have to yell at anybody. He was just stern and direct, and people listened.
there's
Didn't have to
respect.
smoke people. Yeah, you know,
Yeah,
something
my first sergeant, I tried to fight my med board, and I went to him and I said, "What should I do?" And he said, "Get out." Because I was good to my soldiers. I had a soldier that came in late all the time in the DFAC, and my E6 is like different E6. This was in the DFAC world, and he's like, "Get him, smoke him," and I was like, can I just talk to him? Because he's never late. He like something's off. But in the military world, they don't want that. So I pulled him
no.
aside. His wife had stage 4 stomach cancer. I wonder why he's late. He's taking his kids to school and taking care of his sick wife. Can you tell his E6 or anybody that? No, making him do push-ups so he throws up because he's late. How about you talk to your soldier? You don't know what they're going through.
Right.
That push,
Right.
I get it. Push-up bullshit. I get it. But it's just like no. Sometimes you have to talk to them to figure out why, what is going on. So it's just like
We're
I
human.
I was that person who taught. I was a human, and my first sergeant said, "You're too good for this world." He said, "Get out and do better things, kid." And I did. I did. I stopped fighting the med board work because I was supposed to go to Italy. I was about to go to Italy. I was gonna get my flight status, and I was gonna make this my career. I was like, screw it. I've already blown out my meniscus. I could keep pushing through. I'll build the muscles around it, make it stronger. Let's do it. But I talked to him, and he's the one who protected me. I still to this, like, we're friends on Facebook. He was my rock for such a long time, and he said it. He's like, he was retiring. He's like, "Get out." I was like, "Okay,
And
I
that's
won't fight this anymore. I'll get
and
out."
that's a
And that's
loss
sad.
to
He's like,
this
the
country.
military's not. He saw the, yeah, he saw the commit. He saw our shitty unit. What was going on? It was so corrupt. Who can I step on to get above? That's how it was. My commander sent us on a mission that killed 2 soldiers. 2. For what reason? Oh, for me to put the paperwork saying he was in the vehicle on that mission so he'd get his cute little medal on his chest.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Oh, how cute is that? I had to do it because I was like, my whole world's gonna crash down. Can't lie. I had to because I didn't want to get. He was like, "You'll lose it. You'll get out." I'm like, "I was in that battle meeting with you, sir," and he's like, "We're going on the mission." I'm like, it took a lot out of me. One of the 11 Bravos, him and I shared the same birthday, and we just had our birthday. I'm like, I just had lunch with this kid in the DFAC. Now he's not coming home with us. Like, the fuck? It's a mess. It's a mess. The shit that people do to get up and above.
It's disgusting. It really is. So,
Yeah.
all right. Um, we're supposed to talk about how your transition was, um, and also knowing what you know now, if there's anything you would have done differently in your transition. But I don't want to shut down this conversation. If you want to keep having it, I
No,
want to
no,
keep
no.
having it.
So you, I don't know if I lost for a half a second. We're at the last question, correct?
Um,
Is that what you said? I lost you halfway. I'm sorry.
yeah. So we never really touched on how your personal transition was from military to civilian life.
Chaotic. I got out and I didn't have an off button. I didn't have time to heal. I didn't know how to heal or where to heal
I think we
or
lost you.
I. Oh no. Am I? You got me back.
Yeah, I got you
I
back
got
now.
it. There we got you.
I uh I was saying right before 2 months before I got out. No, I'm sorry. 3 months before I got out, I had a miscarriage, and then the next month I lost my mom, and then I got out of the military. So like the world just completely crashed. I went to college. I went to Austin P State University, and I was like, "Hey, I'm 21. I could go to college, right? That's what you do. Experience life." I couldn't. I couldn't take the disrespect that these kids had for their teachers. I'm like, I'm here.
Yeah, I think we lost you again.
Shut up. So I ended up switching to online, and I worked 2 jobs. I worked with the youth during the daytime, and at night I was I want to say bartender. I worked at I don't know if you guys remember, it was called Strawberry Alley. It
Remember
was a
strawberry?
craft
Yes.
beer, yeah, craft beer place, and they served really good food.
In
And we
Clarksville?
just had craft beers. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I don't
it
think I
was
Clarksville.
ever
on
went there.
Printer's Alley. It was on Printer's Alley, but it was called Strawberry, like strawberry. Or no, it was called Strawberry Alley.
Okay.
Can't remember, but it's another bar now. But I worked there, so I worked all day, and then I did full time school, um, because I just didn't know how to stop. I didn't know how to stop. I had severe sleep problems. I was sleepwalking. My husband would have to lock the doors because I would just take off, and then I'd come home, and he'd be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm completely incoherent. Find me in the bathroom, sleeping underneath our vanity, and um, I just all of these things happening, and I didn't know what was going on. I lived at the gym because I was just so accustomed to that, and then I started pounding on weight when I came back from the deployment. So I was like, "Well, maybe I'm not working out enough. What's going on?" So I had to figure out, like, wow, somebody just told me, "Well, you lost a baby. You'll never be able to have kids. Your hormones are all over the place." So I was like, "Okay, how do I fix that?" So coming out of the military was just go, 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 and it's been like that until now. I'm almost what 10 years out, 9 years out, and I finally said, "My cup's empty. I need to fill it." So I stopped. I started a business, finished school, had a baby. Um, COVID happened, so I was in the middle of opening up a business, and COVID happened. So we moved back to Tennessee because it was more lenient. I found a business that was selling. I purchased it and I ran it, and then I got a phone call after having chest issues. I was told I need open heart surgery. So I said, let's sell the business. I was in the process of opening a second location and with a franchise. I was with a franchise lawyer to franchise my business. So that within the next 5 years, that's what was going on. I was gonna have a franchise. I had 10 people interested all over the United States, and that was next. And I said, "You know what? Money comes and goes. I can make money in other ways." Because everyone's like, "You're throwing away $1 million idea." I said, "I lost my mom before she was 50 from a massive heart attack. I'm not doing it. My daughter is only 4 years old. It's not worth it. My mom never saw the ocean." So I said, "I'm selling my business." And I broke even. I just sold it for what I put into it. I didn't want money out of it. I just wanted to sell it. Um, and then I went to the VA and I said, "Hi, I need help." I went to providers because a lot of them just were like, the first one said, "Oh, you have heart issues, you have anxiety, here's medication." I said, "No, nope, I don't know about that. Nope, this feeling happens when I'm laying in bed and I'm with kids all day. So I think I'd feel that during the daytime." Um, and then I go to find out months later, just recently, I saw my cardiologist finally, because the VA, you have to jump through hoops to get to who you need to see.
Yep.
And he said, "Someone misread your testing. You don't need open heart surgery." He said, you are doing exactly what you should do. Your heart is healthy. And he says, I'm so sorry that you sold your business. I'm not sorry. I'm glad I did, because now I have other things to worry about. I can fix my hormones. I can go and grieve my mother dying. I can go and grieve the loss of my career. Like, I can go and get I can grieve the people who I wasn't able to grieve during deployment. It's like, it's just the I can do all of these things now. So when I
You can
met
heal.
Jenna and she's like, here's this opportunity, and she's like, you can do this and heal, and we can help you heal. And I said, yep, because I still like to. I wanted a purpose. You get out of the military, what's your purpose? So
Yeah.
I stopped for a little bit and I breathed, and I took a few months off. I went to New York for a whole month to be with my friends and family, and it was all about Rory, whatever she wanted to do, and it was great. And I feel like everyone should do that transitioning out of the military, no matter how you're getting out. Take time, up to like 6 months, to just stop for a minute. Stop and lay on the beach. Go walk on a hike. Go see the mountains. Just do something that like your heart really wants you to do, and heal, because you can't do the next chapter in your life if you don't do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't, and it here I am 10 years later, and it's just like it takes certain things to just make you click that switch on.
I think that advice is insanely spot on. I really do. I think when I got out, I had this grand plan. I also went to Austin P. By the way, I have a degree from Austin P. Um,
Ooh,
and I go. Is it Govs? I think it's Govs, right?
yeah, with the govs.
Yeah, go Govs. Not really. I'm a Florida Atlantic fan myself now. Go Owls. That's where I went when I got out. But I had this grand plan that when I got out, I'd go back to school, which to get the GI Bill, right, I'd go work for my dad's company. He owned a cabinet company, and life would be great, right? And life wasn't great. Life was really, really fucking shitty. My girlfriend, who I'd been with the entire time I was in, met her before I left for boot camp. Started dating, stayed with her the entire time I was in. Got out. She stayed in South Florida. She came up and visited all the time, but she stayed in South Florida. Got out. Got an apartment with her, and within 3 months, the relationship was over. Turned out she'd been cheating on me the whole time. She didn't stop when I got out and came home either. And that blew up. That was pretty fucking rough. But also, like, I had
Mm-hmm.
PTSD. I had a ton of fucking anger issues. Um, and none of it at the time, none of it resonated with me as if this is my fault, right? As if not that it's my fault, but this is something going on with me. It was just the rest of the world, right? The rest of the world was
Mm-hmm.
fucked up, and I was perfectly fine, and nobody understood that. I had a really short fuse. I remember actually at Austin P. I was in class one night, and someone had made a joke about a soldier that had just died, and it was a soldier from fifth group that I knew. And I had just that morning, in fact, so it was really open wound for me. That morning, we had just had his service in the chapel where they play the bagpipes and all that shit. And I was like crying, but trying to hold it back because I'm there with everybody I know, right? So I'm like internally crying at the service in the morning, and then I go through my day, and then I go to class at night at Austin P. And a soldier from 101's making a joke about how some fifth group guy got killed because he's an idiot or whatever. And I swear to God, I think I handled it pretty well for what I should have done to this kid. But like I just stood up and I slammed my textbook. It was a math textbook, so it was big and heavy. I slammed it in front of him on his desk. I said, "What the fuck did you just say?" And he goes, "Oh no no no, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry." Something like that to that effect. And I just grabbed my fucking book, my backpack, and I walked right out of class. And I don't even remember if I went back to class. I'm sure I did. I graduated eventually, but um, it's just like people just don't fucking understand. And your fuse is so incredible. And like honestly, I give myself credit for the way I handled that, because when I was in fifth grade, one of my felonies was for taking a chair and slamming it over a teacher's face in a classroom. So the fact that I didn't fucking murder that kid right there in that class is a testament to
Mm-hmm.
myself, I guess.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
but it's just like the fuse you have when you get out, and how the rest of the world is so, you think they're fucked up even though it's you that's fucked up. And again, it's not your fault, right? It's nothing you did to yourself, but you have this view of everything that's almost like, to you it's crystal clear, but it's really foggy and really hazy. And I that didn't come out of me to where I started to feel that way and understand that, like, hey, you know, I need some peace, right? I need to find my fucking peace, or I'm gonna destroy my own life and someone else's life with me. Until I left Florida. I moved to Florida when I got out, and I was like, this isn't fucking working. And I moved to Colorado, and I moved in by myself in a little mountain town, to finish school out there. And it was just like there was no one I knew. It was a whole new world. It was a peaceful place. People were friendly. The mountains were everywhere. I had fresh air, and I lived there for about almost 2 years. And that's really where I found my peace. And if your advice is so fucking spot on, and I wish everybody would hear it and understand it. Don't go back to where you came from, right? Don't go into the world thinking you're clear headed, because you're not. As much as you feel like you are, you're not. Go to the beach. Go to fucking Europe. Go backpack, right? Go find your fucking peace wherever that is. You don't know, but just go find it, right? Um, yeah, it's a really long way to say that, but it's so true. And honestly, I swear to God, I wish I knew that. Like, I wish I had a conversation with someone like you before I got out, so I would know that, right?
Yeah, it's what I wish I did. I wish I like slapped a backpack on and hiked the Appalachian Trail. Just
Amen.
took all my feelings out there. If I want to scream, I can scream. If I want to fucking throw and break shit, I can.
Yeah,
Just take it out there, because then you're taking out on your loved ones. So you don't want to do that. Don't go back home. That's my biggest thing. Like, don't go back home. Don't go back to the job you had before the military. If you went in later, like, something new, you need to heal. You need to heal.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So what today? So you've done a lot of work, right, to yourself, for your family. What are some challenges post all of that work that you just feel like it never fully healed? So what are some challenges you still have today that derive from your past? And then also, I want to kind of bring it up to a higher, like, happier level, if you will. So what are some strengths that you can take with that you took with you from the military that are helping you today?
So, um, pushover. Unfortunately, I always was just like that people pleaser. And I was the same way in the military because I was being told what to do. So I did what I was told. And then owning my own business, you don't, the customer is your boss. So I never changed that dynamic. I got my degree, but I didn't use it. It was health and wellness, nutritional science, and I said I'm going to be a nutritionist. I want to do the holistic thing. I want to help and heal people naturally. And at that time, the world wasn't like that. Here, take this pill and lose all this weight. So it just wasn't happening. And I said, well, I'm going to heal myself, and I'll record it. And with that, I had my daughter, so it worked. But I think that was like the negative that I took away from that is being a fucking pushover, like just doing what people said and always trying to please people, even if it just harmed me. I've had nights where I've sat at my business crying my eyes out because I gave away something, or I did something for somebody I shouldn't have, or I helped out somebody I shouldn't have, and I'm crying because I don't know if I'm gonna make rent. Like, I don't think I'm gonna make rent this month because I did something because I wanted to help somebody. It's just like I think that's like the negative side of things, and I learned real quick. You don't have to step on people to get ahead, but you definitely need to learn to say no. So the military side of that also kind of clicked in afterwards. After I sold the business, I was like, I around I sold the business and I turned 30, and I said, "You know what? I'm cutting out all the people that I don't inspire to be. I'm cutting out the people who don't fill my cup unconditionally without having to be asked." And I said, selling this business is the best thing I ever did because I was pouring from my empty cup for people who would never, ever, ever try to fill mine up again. So I took that away, and I dropped down back in the discipline. I started saying no. I started to just say no to people. No, I can't do this for you right now. No, that doesn't tie in with my schedule. And it brought me to Jenna. It brought me to the empowering people I wanted to be one day. They say if you want to be successful, my biggest thing is to surround yourself around those successful people. You said your father did cabinets and stuff. My husband's a contractor, so it's just like, and go around the best people who run those type of businesses and just go and network, go and talk to those people. So I started to do, and it brought me into the world that I should be in. And I think every soldier should do that getting out. I think they should, you know, because we're surrounded by people who put us down and then don't care how we feel. And I think once you get out, you need to find the people who will care about you and will take you in at 3 o'clock in the morning if you've had a breakup or your car died and they're there putting the tire on for you. Like, life is too short to say yes to things that aren't going to help you. And Zach knows I've been a people pleaser my entire life.
Everybody.
I was just like, okay, let's do this, and I know Zach has too. It's just like, but it doesn't get you anywhere in life. And I think the military helped me good and bad because it made me realize like those people who treated me like shit are nothing as human beings, and I am so much more than them. And it's okay to say that. I don't feel bad.
You shouldn't.
Cocky.
You shouldn't.
I'm not. I'm so much better than them, and it's like
facts.
So their things don't bother me anymore. I have to heal the moment of where I was down, but I don't have to heal the fact that they treated me like that. Nothing.
I fucking love
you. Are nobody. I look at you right now. You're probably nobody.
I fucking love your story so goddamn much that I wish I could go on post and make soldiers watch this shit before they get out. So, about 2 years ago, I had that same fucking transition you had, where I was like, if you're a piece of shit, you're not in my life. Like, if you make my life even slightly difficult, goodbye. Lose my number. And I don't care. And I had this conversation with my dad this morning. I don't care if you're my family. I don't care if you're my blood. I will literally cut you out of my life the moment you make it difficult because life is fucking hard enough. I've got my own shit, right? I'm happy to love you. I'm happy to support you and help you be successful as well. I'm not saying it all has to be about me. But the moment you come at me with some negative shit, right, and you're condescending or you're rude, right, and it's like a systemic thing, it's not a one-off where you had a bad fucking day, I'm done with you. Like, I don't need you in my life, and I don't care if you're blood or not, right? And that has, about 2 years ago, I came to that realization, and I did it. Same as you. I cut everybody out. And I mean, that went for work. That went for personal friends. That went for everything. And I just surrounded myself with, just like you said, people that I aspire to be, whether they're super billionaires or not, like just local people, just good people, nice people, people that look out for other folks, right? Or people who are wealthy, people who have successful careers and businesses, right? But if you're not someone I aspire to be, both financially and mentally, and that's a big thing for me, right? I don't care how fucking successful you are if you're a piece of shit human. I don't. You're a piece of shit human. You could have every dollar in the world, and I don't give a flying fuck about you, right? And I wish more people could see that sooner and stop trying to people please everybody, right? Because you couldn't have said it better. You're pouring from your empty cup to help somebody else, and that's got to stop.
And we get preyed upon as veterans coming out of the military because these employers are like, we're veteran friendly, and then you come in and you're doing the hardest work for the lowest pay and money, and it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that. Zach knows my husband is a freaking genius. I will always talk him up because he's smart, he's hardworking, he's the first person in, he's the last one out every single day.
He's a really nice guy.
And he can never just land a good job of someone who wants to pay him good, ever. And it's just like so disheartening when they're like, we take care of our veterans. I'm like, how many? I really want to like go undercover and be like, how many veterans do you actually hire? How many people are on your protocol that you have listed as a veteran?
Well, it's a tax write-off, right?
It is, and it's hard because veterans then they just keep searching, or they go back to school, or they go back to their old jobs, or they go back to their old ways, and it's just like we got to get them out of that mindset, that box that society has created for them. We just got to get them out of that box to be like, stop people pleasing. It's about you. What do you want to do? What world do you want to be in? And put yourself in there.
I have
a great book to send you guys because Ford, like the perfect thing to talk about is he had no idea about how to build an engine. All he did was say to his team, I want this. And they're like, we can't do that. And he's like, come to me when you do it. And like, look at Ford. Look at them. Look at him now. He had no idea about mechanics. He had like little pieces here, there. It's just he put himself in that situation with successful people who knew about this. And he was just like, this is my idea. You figure it out. You'll do it. And supported them and took care of them. And it filled his cup while filling his employees' cups. It's just like, and he became the most successful person ever. There's so many great success stories of people just coming from nothing, and they said one day, I can't remember if it's Picasso. I will send you guys the book. I read it a while ago, but Leonardo da Vinci, and this guy in a completely different country is like, I'm going to be his apprentice, and he sold the rest of the things he had and had a one-way, ticket on the boat, and went there, and he bothered him every single day. He's like, I will work for free, let me be your apprentice. And then he ended up being his business partner and becoming a big name, becoming someone in history. And it's just like persistence. It's like, you don't have to give money, you don't have to give your all, but it's like, find your goal and stick what you want to do and put yourself in that place you want to be in. I always say money will come. Money will come.
It will.
As long as you're willing to just put your whole heart into it. There's a difference between the hustle and believing in something. And I've hustled my whole entire life to be poor. I was a great business owner. Did I have money? No. But was I able to give away a free birthday party every single year because I was a kid growing up not able to have birthday parties? Thank God my Aunt Jackie hosted one as a kid, but I was that kid that like I didn't have a birthday party every year. So I donated a birthday party with other people in my community, business wise, and we hosted free food, free decoration. My space was free, and free goodie bags. I was able to do that. I could have cut myself a check and paid myself. No, I wanted to give back because those people filled my cup. Anytime I would say, hey, I'm looking to do this, they would hit me up and be like, whatever you're doing, I'm in. And it's just like that I feel like that's what like true success is after the military.
I love that. Zach, were you going to say something?
No, I was just gonna say she touched really heavily on it, and she's right. I was gonna take it back to the we were talking about veterans when they get out and how they get used and abused from different entities, corporations, because they know what the pay scale is, right? They know what the veterans pay scale is. They know we're gonna work hard, because that's what we did in the military, and it's really sad. It's sad to watch good people get used, right? And it's because of other greedy people, and it's
Yeah.
it's not fair.
We
And
shouldn't
like you
have
were
to live
saying,
off of $30,000 a year because we're used to that in the military. We should be
right,
making $100,000 a year walking out of the military.
Right.
right.
Because
It's
100%.
yeah.
it should be a
Amen.
degree in itself, right? Whatever job you learn in the military should translate somewhere in the civilian sector, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Stuck the course X amount of years, just like if you went to college. That's just my personal belief on the matter.
It's,
But
That's
it's
why
valid.
Mitch couldn't get a job. He did carpentry masonry, and they're like, do you have a degree? He's like, no. He was going to school to be a project manager, and ITT Tech shut down. You think he got his college course, his credits back from the military? No, no money, no refund, no nothing. He can't go back to school even if he wanted to get a good degree. So it's just like, he's like, but I did this in the military. They're like, well, you don't have a degree. He's like, I can run these, I can do these things. I could do it full circle with around your whole entire team. But it's just like, we'll pay you $15 an hour starting. So it's disheartening for veterans. Like my husband, I could just see struggled for years to just find his place, to the point where I was like, start your own business. And then even then, people just walked all over him because we're conditioned to be like that.
Yep.
right,
Yep.
I told him, stop. Like now, this is our year. I was like, no more. We're not. We're taking care of ourselves. We can't. You guys, well, Zach, you don't have any children. You got fur babies and stuff. But once you have a child, it's different. It's like, this is my family. This is my family. And like you said, blood or not, I choose who's in her family. You don't.
Right.
You don't choose. She has aunts and uncles that aren't blood. because they love her unconditionally.
Uncle
And
Zachy
veterans are
sitting in my living
we're
room right
not
now.
used to that. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's just crazy.
so all right, we've got well, technically we're 3 minutes over, so we've got a couple of minutes here, right at the end. So the very last thing I sent you that I wanted you to think about and kind of, I guess, talk to, right? So it's a little scenario, right? So Soldier Joe walks up to you and says, "Hey, I've got a year left until I get out, right? What are some things I can do to prepare myself mentally and physically, right, to transition as successfully as possible from an active status role into a civilian role?"
So I kind of tied that in with before I said, you know, take time to heal. I really think that's important when you get out. But if I could say this to every veteran who's out, like out processing right now, I'd say to them, while you're post, go talk to a financial advisor for free. It is free. Like people don't realize that for free, and have them map you out how long you can live off of your retirement, off of if you're medically getting out and you're getting a chunk of money, or you're going to have disability. So you can say, okay, I have 3 months to just enjoy life. I have 3 months to do these things that I need to do to heal. And I don't have to stress about just jumping back into the world to get a job. I really wish all soldiers had that. And I like a year like goes really by really fast when you're getting out to get out. Like it happens. So like get your financial situation started, start selling shit if you just don't need. If you have a motorcycle sitting in your garage that you haven't driven in like 5-10 years, get rid of it. Just sell it off, because you can use that to continue to live. But I really think there should be a program that allows veterans up to 6 months when they get out to heal. Food, living expenses should be paid for. If they're allowed to do one trip for a week anywhere in the world to just heal, because I feel like it'll just create so much more like better human, like I don't even know, like just better humans coming back into the world because they can heal and they can know their self-worth. And you know, if they choose to go back to school, things like that. So I think if I could talk to that soldier and they had a year left, that's what I would say. Get your financial stuff in order. Because a lot of us go into the military and we're poor, and you're like, holy shit, I got money. And then
Yeah.
they spend it on dumb things because it's like you grow up with nothing, so you want things. I was the opposite. I gave my money to my mom to help her out. I had nothing to show for it, and I'm sure she didn't use it for what she should have used it for. So I feel like the financial world for veterans and even active soldiers is such a big thing.
Yeah.
Um, but I think connecting, start finding local, start local networking groups that are free that he could go into. You know, you got a year that you could stop in, because when you're transitioning out, whether you know you have like weird times during the day that you're like not doing anything for 2 hours, go and do a networking group, talk to other companies and businesses to feel to just get connection. You need to start building your like support system around you when you come out. It's not just emotionally, but it's like you need it for business as well to be successful, because then when you're done healing, you're like, I'm set, I got a job and make 100K a year, I can take care of my family.
Well, thank you, Haley. Honestly, your stories are just amazing. They really, really are. So I'm honored to have talked to you and have you on here. Um,
Oh, thank you guys.
yeah, Zach, thank you for bringing her in. This is absolutely
Of course.
phenomenal. So thank you for those of you that listened this far. This is episode 2, Haley Dunkin. From what I gathered, no relation to the Dunkin' Donuts empire, unfortunately, because I am obsessed with the coffee. But honestly, thank you, Haley. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Haley.
No, thank you guys so much for having us.